Oh, can I tell you something? Last week, shh, don't tell anybody. Last week, for like a couple of days, I had more Twitter followers than Donald Trump.
Whoa!
Oh! Oh! So I quickly screen captured that because I don't know how that long that would last. So I have actual evidence of like a few days where I had more.
Mr. President.
No. But we don't know what dark matter is and dark energy is. And people like mysteries, even if they don't fully comprehend it, they like knowing that scientists are staring dumbfounded into an abyss of ignorance. And that's what we are now. Dark matter is, we don't know, it's 85% of the gravity of the universe has no known origin. So we just call it like dark matter. We don't know, we don't even know if it's matter. We can call it Fred for all that matters here, right? And dark energy is a pressure in the vacuum of the space of the universe that is forcing the universe to accelerate in its expansion against the wishes of gravity. We can measure that, but we don't know what's causing it or what it's made of. And if you add dark matter, dark energy together, it's 95%, 96% of everything that's driving the universe. So we have profound ignorance surrounding what has been very successfully accumulated knowledge over the centuries.
Once we could do the computer calculations of how long it would take to vacuum up the remaining debris of the solar system to become the planets, we realized that took upwards of 600 million years. Earth didn't cool down until 600 million years after it formed. So you go from 4.5 billion years ago to 3.9. 3.9. Now you start the life clock. And when is the first sign of fossil evidence? 3.7. 200 million years to form life on Earth. That's nothing in the time of the Earth, and it's less than nothing in the time of the universe. So you have complex chemistry enabled by the ingredients of life itself: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, other, the famous element other. Those are the top 5 ingredients in life on Earth. What's the top ingredients in the universe? Hydrogen. Yeah, we've seen that on our. Oh, next one is helium. But helium is not chemically interesting. You can inhale it and, sound like Mickey Mouse. But it doesn't bind with anything, so it's not useful to us chemically. Next in the universe is oxygen. That's what it was in the human body. Next is carbon. That's what it was. Next is nitrogen. That's what it was with us. Next is other, just like it was with us. So if we were made of like some isotope of bismuth, then you'd have an argument to say that we are something rare in the cosmos. But we're made of the most common ingredients with a chemistry based on carbon, which is the most fertile of all elements on the periodic table. You can make more molecules out of carbon than you can with all other elements combined. So you got the right ingredients and you have the fertility of the carbon atom. You're there, and give Earth 200 million years, you're there. You're there. And so when you want to think about the search for life elsewhere, these are factors that come in. Just because you haven't figured out how to do it yet in the lab doesn't mean nature had a hard time doing it. That's the hubris again, okay? Just because you can or can't do something, therefore it is impossible that way in the whole universe. Got to be a little more humble about our ignorance.
Oh, but I really care about history, so let me sidestep the science. I'll just learn history. I care about languages. I'm going to learn that's science over there. Let me step around it, above it, beneath it, across it. Let me take as few science classes as I can because I don't really care about science. We're somehow allowed to think that way about science as a subject. That course has a textbook. So you either buy the textbook or you don't, or you take the class and sell it back. As long as you keep thinking of science as just a subject, you somehow are given carte blanche to say, I don't care about that subject. I care about these subjects. But science is everywhere. It is in your human physiology. It is in your health. It is in the very technology that drives what we today call civilization. So no one should ever be given the freedom to just step away from science. They need to recognize that science is infused in every single thing we do. And Star Talk is our attempt to display that fact without it sounding like, well, here's your science lesson for today. Now take your medicine, and now you'll suffer, but you'll like me for it at the end. No, no. We are finding all the ways that you can celebrate the role of science in our lives. And it was working on the radio when we were birthed by a grant from the National Science Foundation.
Yep.
They said, yes, we like that experiment. And then it jumped species to television, and it got 2 Emmy nominations in its first 2 years. And then we're jumping species again, seeing the book medium is this book is every page you turn to is like, yeah, that's a cool question. How did the show deal with that? And that's a funny way to think about it. We just want to plaster the universe with science.
I'm happy to report that Newton's writings on religion, of which he penned many words, and his writings on alchemy and his writings on physics are actually very distinct written investments of his time. In other words, these did not sort of cross-contaminate each other. And so whatever else was true about Newton, he knew that when he was thinking physics, he was writing physics. He knew when he was doing alchemy, he was writing alchemy. He knew when he was writing about religion, he was writing about religion. He was using the Bible as a reference and his formidable mathematical intellect to try to deduce what the Bible means beyond perhaps the words, the visibility of the words on the page. So in the premise that the Bible is accurate, he's doing what any curious scientist would do. I don't fault him for that. He's an alchemist. By the way, chemists like making fun of alchemists, but, excuse me, alchemists were at least experimentally driven in their activities. Their work was in laboratories. They kept notes. They bet on the wrong horse, but that doesn't make their exercise any less useful to the progress of science. Without alchemists, you would not have had the beginnings of what would ultimately become the periodic table of elements. That's what distinguishes alchemy from astrology. Many people say alchemy predates chemistry, astrology predates astronomy, and they're sort of kindred spirits of the past. No. 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 Because no one today still does alchemy. It's recognized as a flawed approach to understanding the behavior of matter. You still have people today getting paid by other people to read their horoscopes. So one did not lead to the other. Astrology was just sort of always there, and it's still there. Meanwhile, there are people actually trying to figure out the universe, like Ptolemy. He had the wrong idea with his geocentric model, but he's not invoking astrology. That's 2,000 years ago. So astrology, as old as it is not a modern precursor to modern astrophysics, the way alchemy is a modern precursor to modern chemistry.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this. Key and Peele parodied me and my wife, not knowing that my wife has a PhD in mathematical physics. They did not know this. So Key and Peele are dressed up as me and as my wife, and my wife comes up to me and says, "Neil deGrasse Tyson, you haven't taken out the garbage yet." And I stand there and I say, but in the multiverse theory, there could be a parallel universe in which I actually have taken out the garbage. So, and we don't know at all times by the quantum uncertainty principles which universe we might be in. So that in fact, this could be the universe in which I had taken out the garbage. And my wife goes, "Oh, wow, okay." So there's a series of these where he basically gets away with murder, right? But cosmoses his way out of the responsibilities. And so people say, "Well, how do I feel?" And I say, I don't feel. I don't invest emotion in what artists do. What I do is applaud the fact that there are artists of all kinds, musicians, actors, comedians, that have found
the moving frontier of science as legitimate sources of their inspirational muse. And that, I think, is something to celebrate.
And I realized that I don't have to tell you what to be curious about. You already were.
Yeah.
And even if you forgot how to be curious, all we do is sort of fan the embers that may have gone dim over the years, get a flame going again, and all of a sudden we can become kids again. And say, is that how that was? There was a gravity wave moving across the universe, oh my gosh, and an asteroid took out the dinosaurs, oh my gosh, and we were just, our mammal ancestors were scurrying underfoot. And so, and the solar system is a shooting gallery, and so there's a lot of things about the universe that just feed our quest to understand who we are and what our place is in this universe. And so over the years, I tuned my delivery of content to match what I already knew was burning inside of everyone. And so to the extent that you observe that, that's the extent to which I have attempted it. And thanks for noticing, because it means that it's a real thing.
Because I don't give a rat's ass whether we share each other's opinion or not about anything. I don't care. And my Twitter stream has no opinions in it at all. I mean, if there's one in 100 tweets will smack of some opinion of another, but that is not my MO. Most people with that platform are pundits who have strong opinions, or they're parts of movements, and they want you to join that movement. You have never seen me debate people. You've never seen me at the front of movements holding up placards. You've never seen me arguing with politicians. It's not what I do. We had Benjamin Carson recently saying it's in his video log. It's that evolution is a fairy tale, okay? And so this is not a particularly scientifically literate posture. And so, do I get angry with him? He is representing voters. In a free society, people can vote for wherever they want. If they want to vote for someone who thinks that evolution is a fairy tale, that is their right and it is their privilege. As an educator, I will alert the electorate that if you want to think that evolution is a fairy tale, that has consequences to the economic health of the nation in which you live. Because innovations in science and technology are the engines of tomorrow's economy. If you want to accept it as your religion, that's fine. But you swap it into your science class, you are undermining the role that science plays. I just gave you information. It's an if-then. If you do this, this will happen. It's not do this because I say so. Don't do anything because I say so. That's cult building. So, Europa, let's say you find life. Here's an unresolved question, okay? We've got top people working on this without a solution yet. If you find life on Jupiter's moon Europa, do you call it European? See, we don't have an answer to that yet. We don't know what to do about that, okay? I don't know. Just, okay. One of the problems with science in schools is that we are taught science as subjects. There's history, science, English, Spanish. It's a subject. And then you learn stuff about that subject. But that's not really what science is. Science is a way of querying nature. There need to be classes on what science is and how and why it works. Then you are empowered. You are inoculated against throwing a snowball in Congress, if that's how you were trained to think about the natural world. But if science is just a satchel of facts, well, I choose these facts, those are your facts, I got my facts, and those are your facts. And the idea that you can interact with this information in a fundamental way and extract that which is bogus and that which is not, doesn't seem to exist in the minds of people who have, and also, by the way, just to be clear, there's no shortage of people on the liberal left who are in denial of mainstream science, just as you have them on the conservative right. The people who are anti-vaxxers are primarily left-leaning people. The people who are
all into alternative medicine, which requires at some level that you reject mainstream medicine, are primarily people on the left. The people who are into odd, unusual, peculiar diets. They're people on the left. And so, so these are different issues, of course, but when I hear left people speaking of Republicans being anti-science, and I go down the list of things that are squarely in the portfolio of left-leaning people, I offer no, I'm not choosing sides with you.